Welcome to your Synastry report. This is the Peace Dealer. And I hope you enjoy this report. In this report, of course, we will be looking into the compatibility and synastry between you and your partner. Thank you once again for ordering this report, and please don't hesitate to share your feedback about your thoughts on this report moving forward. Regardless, it's great to see that this is the connection between Sun in Capricorn and Sun in Taurus. A very classic connection. Between earth signs, as we can see. It's great to see that this is also for your 28th wedding anniversary. So that's definitely a great honor. I see your anniversary date is for the 94th, which is also awesome. So I want to make sure I got the birthdays right. 3:30 p.m. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, that's really awesome to see that your anniversary was during Libra season, which is really beautiful. I actually pulled up the composite chart as well. We see both of you are composite Pisces Sun. So I'll speak to the significance of that because Jupiter went through the 7th house, and when Saturn goes through the natal or composite 7th, or with Jupiter, we see marriage, divorce, or business partnerships. So we are going to see over the next couple of years a renewal of integrity of the partnership, a strengthening of the partnership. It's a very pivotal period. Jupiter going through here is also important. So we'll talk about this at the end of the reading. We can even pull up August really quickly. Just to kind of get some impressions of 94. I know 94 was where we had Jupiter and Pluto and the South Node in Scorpio. So that's really interesting. When you guys got married, the North Node was opposite where it is now. I already have chills just saying that. This is why I love doing synastry readings, because I don't really feel like anything is a coincidence. So I just think that it's so amazing how, this is where the North Node was, right? Saturn, remember how I was saying that when Saturn transits the 7th house with Jupiter, you get married, divorced, have a business partnership. Well, we know that when Saturn was going through the seventh house, that was when you guys got married. That's so awesome. See, so already, like, this is why I love doing this. I'm so honored you got this reading. These are I like synastry because I like compatibility as a specialty. It really reveals a lot. So this is really key. You guys were clearly destined to be married in this vein when we see impressions like this. Also now keying in that Saturn of karma is in Taurus. So the North Node, right? The South Node unlocked the karma that enabled y'all to get married. I don't normally jump into composite at the beginning, but I just got called to, and I'm so glad I did. So this is really, the third house. And why is this significant? Because now, if we fast forward to, once again, the 28th anniversary here, we see that the North Node is in Taurus now with Uranus. Okay? So relative to that, we see this sense of karmic completion. Saturn is getting ready next year to come back around. And now this has been close to 30 years. This will mark that 29, 30-year Saturn return of the partnership. And coming into the Saturn return, the North Node is now on the karma. So that's very significant and telling in that you are completing a legacy aspect of this relationship. So I wanted to just show you what the astrology has to say about the actual anniversary date. Okay. Now we know that both you and your husband have a divine connection. And as Virgo risings, oh, that's so lit. Are you serious? Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know you were both Virgo risings. So he's the Taurus with the Virgo rising. You're the Capricorn. So this is very twin flaming. I'm going to just be real. Especially with the 7th house Pisces, that's divine partnership. So both of you are divine partners, right? But I didn't know you're both Virgo rising. So when you have the same rising as someone and you share a personality, or when your risings meet in a similar place like that, it's very twin flamey. It's very soulmatey. And it really does a lot to establish how you mirror each other's personalities, but to have this as different earth signs is mind-blowing because he has the individual Taurus king perspective and you have the collective Capricorn goddess perspective. Especially knowing you were born on that new moon and he has his moon in Sagittarius. So he's a transformer. He, like myself, is a transformer that's a vessel of a deity. So he literally has a transformational ability to tap into his clairvoyant soul. Some of the most psychic people I've seen have this aspect with just the moon, Sag, Sun, Taurus. But Neptune adds so much psychic ability here. So this is an interesting dynamic. He has the Scorpio Sun Moon signature. You have the Aries Sun Moon signature. So that's another archetype in that you have this yin yang connection. But I want to illustrate how very deep it is that you're the Capricorn Virgo rising, which is the more direct and cardinal master, and he's the more fixed natural king. Another thing we have to keep in mind is that he's 30 degrees Aries. So the trine here isn't like him being a master Taurus. You come at the end of Capricorn. He comes at the beginning of Taurus. I still do want to hold out that with progressions, he definitely does represent being born as the natural king spirit. I just love that both of you have the same risings. This reeks of destiny. And I may not say reek. I don't think reek is the right word, but I love seeing dynamics like this, because like it just kind of hits home the whole lesson that, you know, when things are meant to be, they're meant to be. You know, your Venus in Pisces makes you an ideal partner for him, because your Venus falls in his 7th house. His Mars is on your Mercury, so he literally stimulates your knowledgeable mind and brain processing. And with Jupiter, doesn't fall short to expand his awareness of career ideas that will align with your routine, which is the cool thing about having the same rising, especially within similar degrees. When you guys go through transits, you're going to go through the same chapters. You'll just have different perspectives. Okay. So, yeah, it's definitely a lot to keep in mind, because you are going to go a long way towards bridging these perspectives together in Pisces. And a lot of this will be revisited. Thankfully, you're both near 30 years in the game, so you already have this extensive experience that's going to break you through into this completion. That's the most important theme we want to see here. You're completing the karma and cycle that brought you together. So normally during this period, relationships naturally close out and go apart, or we see a renewal of the contract, which Saturn's going to come through. This is renewing the agreements through the 7th house to establish the next go around, which is epic, really. So just something to keep in mind. The status of this will be seen over the next 2 years. This is where things will change and happen, to where you decide on why you're going to move forward, or and how you move forward. But I just want to illustrate, this is very beautiful. You being born 69, him being born 73, gives you an adjacent Saturn generation. So the Saturn generation after you in Taurus, he's after that in Gemini. Where relative to the Pluto Libra generation, he's Pluto Libra, you're Pluto Virgo. He's close to the bridge. You know, you're Neptune Scorpio, he's Neptune Sag. And this is what has him advance more so. This is like, of course, if you were a senior in high school, he was probably like a freshman or a junior or a sophomore, you know? And so mainly this still puts you within the same generational influences, but he represents that advent of the next, which is cool. Synastry like this works because now both of you, unlike relationships with people who you were in the same grade, you still have similar in common, but your differences can work complementary. When we look at the soul compatibility, your spirits are mathematically not technically compatible, but energetically compatible. And a square such as this that your sons have really just challenge you further, where he'll take a bit of an Aries-like stubborn Taurus approach towards things, but these things can actually end up working better since you've been together for so long. So this is what's going to make this very dynamic. And his moon in Sag is going to complement your moon in Capricorn when they work together. Okay. It's very interesting once again, because it's really more so the signature of these dynamics that highlight how these work out or not. And how to deal with these as well or not. So it's definitely something to keep in mind for sure moving forward. And if anything, will also highlight and reveal the nature of how powerfully you may be in a position to handle these dynamics as well. Once again, with the moon sign, a lot more of the signature comes into play with how you deal with a lot of these energies, right? And relative to that, him having his moon in Sagittarius will definitely give him a much wilder, more adventurous inner world and soul. Yet the context of this we will see occurring with the signature he represents here. And with that being said, wow, it definitely goes a long way towards being put in a position to realistically, set forth this dynamic to be very intimate or transformative in the way that he personally can see clairvoyantly into dynamics of others. Because he and you are Virgo rising, whereas he will express this in a way where you personally feel into, with the fourth house Sag, the inner critic, right? This, more so or less, puts you in a position to realistically mirror with him being able to intuitively draw out the significance of course, feeling the hidden meaning of any event, even beyond, let's just say, a lot of what is personally, not even present. Because Neptune adds a very intuitive element that brings a supernatural element here. And also, he can read souls and auras. I'm going to share, of course, this Alien Construct article. You're welcome to read the Uranus power since he's had that. But Neptune is on both of your suns, but him having the Neptune vessel, he can read others' minds and auras, hypnotize others. Of course, him having this in Sagittarius will be more clairvoyantly expressed. He's a vessel of this vision here. And so as a Taurus sun, he can ground all of that quite remarkably. I think what's very key here, of course, is as a Taurus sun, you help direct a lot of what he has. In fact, if Taurus has the goods, right, then Capricorn directs the power. Virgo's the market. So you're the spending power and he's like the bank. This is what enables him to stimulate your creativity. And on top of stimulating your creativity, it also puts him in a position to realistically ground the quality of your inner child and what you love. Whereas, of course, you and his ninth house, you're going to be the expression of his philosophy and really stimulate more his way of life and show him more the direction of his beliefs. Now, because your sun and moon is in the fifth, you stimulate his creativity. So you help him direct the philosophy of what he loves and his talent. All right. Whereas he's in the ninth house. And so he's in your ninth house. So we kind of flip both of these on its head, which is why I was mind blown. Once again, that's very twin flamey. So now the fifth house effect that he gives to you, you give to him, and the ninth house effect that you give to him, he gives to you. Okay. And of course, vice versa, because you're in your fifth house and he's in his ninth house. So this is where, of course, you stimulate his creativity for fun, sex, romance, You're someone who really directs that, whereas he's going to ground his creative values to help, he's going to be like the guru in your life. And this is important because his Saturn is on both of your MCs. So he helps manage, provide, and really be this breadwinner type figure, amongst other things, which is very, very, very important, you know, especially when we take into account how uniquely all of this takes place moving forward. Personally, I think what's also important to embrace is that, the extent to which you personally I want to say the extent to which you personally influence each other goes a long way, but it takes even more fascinating precedence when we look at how both of you as one being united with each other, of course, and united, which is why I love marriage in the sense that two become one being. And it's so amazing to see in the synastry because of how, it just kind of fits together, right? Which I'm sure the relationship feels like too. Once again, the Saturn aspect here on the MC will have him have responsibility over both of your careers, whereas your Saturn is on his Chiron, and so he heals mutually this unconventionality with Uranus opposite this expression of your karma, and how comfortable you feel drawing boundaries for both of you and dealing with others, which in the 8th will deal a lot with shared resources. So with that being said, after looking at a lot of this, we know that it's also important to highlight that whereas his Mercury stimulates your destiny and he'll communicate towards the challenge of taking your social value and investing with the right actions towards people, it's clear that you light up his destiny. He's destined for greatness, and thus he was destined to find you on his path since you light up his North Node. That being said, when we look at the composite chart and we see that, of course, both of you are the incredible expression of divinity, this incredible divine aspect here speaks a lot to this understanding of integrity next to Mars and this heightened wanderlust of sexual compatibility in action expressing itself towards this divine Pisces partnership 7th house. Okay. And this really speaks to the extreme instrumentation of awakening with the Pluto rising. Uranus in a second means your shared value is unconventional, and the way you share your resources as well as what helps you come into healing through these challenges. And Mercury and the Sun really speak to the divine ways with which you're able to communicate. But we want to really highlight the Saturn square to the nodes, because the North Node in Aquarius is really going to speak a lot to this integration of how uniquely you're in a position to integrate the knowledge of your destiny, right, into this sense of your lifestyle. And this is everything Saturn is constructing, as the North Node will come through and unlock. And of course, Saturn with Uranus here in the 9th is relative to when you both got married, where the South Node is here. Now the North Node is back to revisit the vows that kept you guys together and the karma that brought you both together. And that has established now the completion of this, which we want to really express as the important motif of this relationship here, which is very inspirational, if I may say so myself. So with Jupiter that's gone through here, this has evolved this. The next 2 years with Saturn will revisit the Saturn return and complete this karma, while the North Node will come back around and wrap up the next round and meaning of this, whether that's to go your separate ways or to, of course, move forward stronger. Jupiter moving forward from January is going to push both of you forward in manifesting the value of this relationship and what relationships with others you can invest in. And so January 2023 moving forward, we're going to see an evolution of the heart of this connection. Mars and Venus indicate high passion. That's visual and philosophical, but also dynamic and expressive in Aries, which in water houses make for very passionate intimacy. But I mean, that's very amazing. That's the major thing I really want to say with the eclipse, and also with the Jupiter transit that's really reestablishing the completion of this karma here. I would really love your feedback regarding that. I think that is amazing. Out of all the synastry charts I've read, this is top 5 as far as seeing the element of karma and destiny here. And I mean, I appreciate, that this is your 28th anniversary. I think this is the first reading I've done with a couple that's been together this long. So that's very beautiful. You stay blessed as always. And until next time, peace.